In under 10 minutes, I'll show you how I edit my photos in Photoshop from skin retouching to color grading. Okay, let's do this. If you want to follow along, the link to download this photo will be in the video description below. So let's proceed. Just go down here and add a new layer by clicking on this icon here. I'm going to go to my tools and select the remove tool. These are my settings for the remove tool. Click on this drop down menu. Mode is set to auto. Sample all layers is checked, and remove after each stroke is also checked. I'm going to zoom in by holding Ctrl or Command, then press plus or minus on the keyboard. I'll start by removing the stray hairs around my model here. I'm just going to make the brush a little bit smaller using the brackets on the keyboard. I'll just paint here to remove that stray hair. If you're using another version of Photoshop, the one that doesn't have the remove tool, I'll put the link in the description where you can download the latest version of Photoshop. At this point, the process is pretty much the same. I'm just painting over the stray hairs to remove them, so I'm going to speed things up. Once I'm done, I'll show you the before and after. If you're enjoying this video or if you've learned something from it, please give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that you guys are enjoying these tutorials and you want to see more of them. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. I'm just going to zoom out, Ctrl or Command 0 on the keyboard. I'll go to Window and then Actions. On my Actions panel, in the Beauty Retouching Actions pack, I'm going to select Reshaping. I'm just going to select the forward warp tool here. I'll zoom in a little bit and then make my brush a little bit bigger. Then I'll just left click and push this part in just a little bit. So this is the before, this is the after. I'm just going to click OK. This is the before, this is the after. I'll just zoom in a little bit somewhere here. I'm going to go back to my actions and click on Auto Skin Retouch Headshot. So the action is going to do everything for me. The only thing I'm going to do is to go up here and make sure opacity is at 100%. Flow, I'll set it to 10%. And then I'm just going to paint my model skin to smooth it out and remove the blemishes at the same time. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Make my brush a little bit smaller, then just paint my model skin to smooth it out and remove the blemishes at the same time. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after. Let me just zoom out, Ctrl or Command 0 on the keyboard. So this is the before, this is the after. Let me just zoom in. So if the effect is too much, you can always reduce the opacity here to maybe 80%. This is the before, this is the after. How cool is that? So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, go back to my actions. Under Makeup Retouching Actions, I'm going to select Eyeshadow Color Picker. Just going to left click on it. Let me just zoom in a little bit. I'm going to hold Option or Alternate on the keyboard. So the icon will change to the color picker. And then I'm just going to left click to pick this color and make the brush a little bit smaller. Up here, make sure opacity is at 100%. Flow is at 100%. I'll just paint this part here. I'll move this side. Let me just zoom in a little bit. This is the before. This is the after. The effect is too much. You can always reduce the opacity here to maybe 35%. So this is the before, this is the after. From here, I'll just go back to my actions and select Eyeshadow Pop. Zoom in a little bit. Everything is already set and selected for me. The only thing I'm doing is painting and lowering the opacity. This is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. If the effect is too much, I can always reduce the opacity here to maybe 60%. This is the before, this is the after. So I'm going to go down here. In my Retouching Actions pack, I'm going to just select the teeth and eye whitening. Everything is already set and selected for me. I'm just going to zoom in and just paint the eyes to make them whiter. So this is the before, this is the after. Let me just zoom out. This is the before, this is the after. If the effect is too much, I can always reduce the opacity here. I'm going to zoom in and go to my actions and select the lipstick color. I'm going to open the lipstick color folder. Let me just enable the first one. Make sure the opacity is at 100%, flow is at 100%. Just paint the lips like this. So I want the lipstick to match this color here. Just going to double click on this icon like this. The color picker panel is going to pop up, and then I'm just going to sample this color here. I'm just going to click OK here. This is the before, this is the after. I'm going to close the lipstick color folder, and then I'll just reduce the opacity here to my liking, maybe 35%. I'm going to zoom out. So this is the before, this is the after. How cool is this? So this is the before all the adjustments, this is the after. So to make this photo pop and stand out more, I'm going to go back to my actions here and select the face pop action. Okay, so this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. If the effect is too much, you can always reduce the opacity. I'm just going to leave it at 100%. The next thing I'm going to do is to add a little bit of contrast to the image. So I'm going to go back to my actions. In the beauty retouching actions pack, I'm going to select contrast action. So this is the before, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. If the effect is too much, I can always reduce the opacity here. So I'll take it to maybe 60%. This is the before, this is the after. This is the before all the adjustments, this is the after. If you've noticed, the only thing I'm doing is painting, reducing the flow, and lowering the opacity. So if you want to retouch fast and level up your retouching skills, you should definitely check out my beauty retouching actions pack. The link will be in the video description below. No matter how much I zoom in, this image still looks amazing. This is the before all the adjustments, this is the after. If I want, I can just save this image and send it to my client, but you just can't skin retouch without color grading. So let me just color grade it real quick. So I'm going to zoom out, Control or Command 0 on the keyboard. I'm going to go to my actions here. On color grade actions, I'm just going to click on light, medium, dark skin tone. So this box is going to pop up. Let me just move it here so that we can see what's happening. So I'm going to click on the gradient here. The gradient editor is going to pop up. Let me just move it here. So I'm going to go down and open this folder, all skin tones gradient. I'm going to click on this icon to open it, and then I'm going to go down here. In this folder, we have gradients for light skin tones, medium skin tones, and dark skin tones. So let me just go through these gradients and see which one works for this image. So I'll start with this one here. Okay, I think I'm going to use this one here. It's close to my model skin tone. So these gradients are in my skin tone gradient pack. The links are in the description below. Click OK, and then click OK here. This is the before, this is the after. You can see the effect is all over the place when I just want this effect to be on my subject's skin. So I'm going to go down here and select the background here. And then I'll go on my tools and select the object selection tool. On select people, I'll click on this thumbnail here. So I'll select the facial skin, the ears, I'll add the nose and the upper body, and then click apply. So what I'm going to do now is just to load this selection here in this layer mask here. I'm going to left click on this layer mask to select it. I'm going to hold Control or Command on the keyboard and press I. Now my selection is loaded in this layer mask. Now I'm going to deselect this selection by holding Control or Command on the keyboard, then press D. So with the layer mask selected here, I'm going to hold Control or Command and then press I to hide it from other parts of my model skin and only the face. So this is the before, this is the after. Let me just zoom in a little bit. I'm going to go to my tools here and select the brush tool. I'm going to make sure the opacity is at 100%, flow is at 100%, and then I'm just going to paint my model skin to just fine tune my selection. So this is the before, this is the after. If the effect is too much, you can always reduce the opacity. This is the before, this is the after. Let me just zoom out. I feel like the effect is too much. I'll reduce it a little bit to maybe 20%. And this is the before, this is the after, and this is the before. All the adjustments, this is the after, this is the before, this is the after. So now that you've skin retouched and color graded this photo, the next step is just to work on the background. Maybe change the background color or add the Snoot effect to the background to make the background pop a little bit more. I've made a full step-by-step video showing exact how I edit the background from start to finish. So click here to watch that video next.